What if I told you that the numbers we've all been waiting for are no longer just rumors, but have actually shown up on bank screens? Yes. Today we're diving into what appears to be one of the biggest updates in the history of currency revaluation. Leaked RV numbers for both the Iraqi Dinar IQD and the Vietnamese Dong VND, reportedly appearing on banking systems around the world. Is this real? What does it mean for you? And more importantly, are you ready if this revaluation finally goes live? Stay with us till the end, because what you're about to hear may change your financial future forever. Let's clear the confusion, separate fact from fiction, and give you the full picture behind what's happening in both Iraq and Vietnam, and what it means for everyday holders of these currencies. First, let's break down what these leaked numbers actually mean. Several sources are reporting that banks in multiple countries have recently seen unusual entries on internal forex trading platforms. These entries allegedly display significantly higher rates for both the IQD and the VND numbers, far above their current program rates. While these rates haven't yet been made publicly available or officially confirmed, the consistency of reports from independent currency insiders and former banking employees has sparked real excitement. It's important to know that when a currency revaluation is about to happen, bank screens often get updated in advance before public announcements. That's exactly why this leak matters. It could signal that the long-anticipated change is no longer a maybe someday, but a happening very soon. But let's not get too excited yet. We need to understand how revaluations work before jumping to conclusions. Now here's the thing. Many people still think that if a revaluation happens, it could look different inside Iraq than outside Iraq. You'll hear terms like in-country rate and out-of-country rate, and it makes the situation sound way more complicated than it really is. But let's make this clear. When a country changes its official exchange rate, that new rate is recognized global. There is no separate system where one person gets $3 per dinar inside Iraq and someone else gets $1 outside. That would break international trade, banking systems, and trust in the currency. The Central Bank of Iraq cannot afford that kind of chaos. Once a new rate is officially announced, it becomes the standard everywhere, whether you're holding dinars in Baghdad or in California. So why do people still believe there could be two different exchange rates? A lot of this confusion comes from misunderstanding the difference between physical currency changes and actual value. For example, deleting zeros is a concept that might be applied inside Iraq to simplify daily transactions. That means instead of paying 25,000 IQD for groceries, you might pay 25 new dinars using a newly printed note, but that doesn't change the real value. If the old 25,000 IQD note was worth $20, then the new 25 IQD note is also worth $20. It's just cleaner and easier to use in everyday purchases. The important part is that whether the bill has 2 zeros or 5, the value in dollars or euros stays the same once the exchange rate is locked in. Let's talk about the program rate versus the market rate. The program rate is the rate agreed upon by the central bank and international institutions like the IMF. It's often used for budget planning, imports, and in government transactions. The market rate, on the other hand, is what you see on the streets or with money change. Normally, there's a small difference between the two, but when a revaluation happens and a new official rate is published, those two usually align. That's because the central bank's decision overrides speculation. Once banks worldwide update their systems to reflect the new rate, there is only one value that matters, and it applies to all holders of that currency. Now imagine for a moment if Iraq tried to implement different rates, let's say $3 per IQD inside Iraq, and that would be an instant disaster. Why? Because the moment people found out, they'd start exploiting it. Currency traders would buy IQD cheap outside and send it inside to sell at a higher rate. Iraqis would move their money out of the country to take advantage of the external rate. It would lead to a surge in black market activity and destroy trust in the system. That's why central banks never allow dual exchange rates for long. It's simply unsustainable in a global economy that's based on trust and transparent value exchange. Vietnam is facing a similar situation. Many VND holders are also reporting strange movements on banking screens. Just like the IQD, there are claims that new VND rates have been quietly showing up in private banking system. If true, this could signal a coordinated revaluation strategy where both the Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong are adjusted together. This wouldn't be the first time multiple currencies were repositioned simultaneously, especially when the goal is to stabilize entire regions economically. If these leaks are legit, then we may be witnessing the early stages of a global monetary shift. And if you're holding either of these currencies, you need to be paying close attention, right, Matt? It's about rebuilding trust in a currency. For Iraq, that trust was damaged by years of war, instability, and inflation. For Vietnam, it's the result of strict government controls and an undervaluation. When a country revalues, it's making a bold statement to the world. Our currency is strong, you can invest here again. This leads to foreign investment, job creation, and increased purchasing power for the people. That's why leaders like al-Sudani have been so focused on creating the right conditions before pulling the trigger on a revaluation. And speaking of al-Sudani, he recently made a powerful statement. He emphasized that any decision about the dinar's value will come from the central bank, not from politics or rumors. That's actually a good thing. It shows that Iraq is sticking to sound monetary policy and not reacting unemotionally. He also hinted at positive economic indicators and rising trust in the banking system, both inside and outside Iraq. When a prime minister speaks this confidently, it usually means something is coming. And based on today's reports about rates showing up on bank screens, it may be sooner than we think. So what should you do if this RV goes live in the next few days or weeks? First, stay calm. Second, don't rush into the first exchange opportunity you hear about, especially if it's not from a licensed institution. Scammers love these moments of high emotion. Wait for an official announcement from the Central Bank of Iraq or Viet. Look for rates published on reputable bank websites or forex platforms. And most importantly, have a plan. Know how much you want to exchange, at what rate and where. Once this revaluation goes public, the window to act might be small. Be ready, but also be wise. Another thing to remember, banks may not all move at the same speed. Even if the central bank updates its official rate, it might take hours or even a day for all banks to fully reflect the change. Some institutions may limit how much you can exchange at first. Others may require appointments or ID verification. Prepare now by contacting your bank and asking what their process would look like in a revaluation scenario. The more information you have ahead of time, the smoother your exchange experience will be. Also, let's address one final myth, that foreign holders of dinar or dong might get a worse rate than locals. That's simply not how it works. Once the rate is changed and locked in, it becomes the global standard. Whether you're exchanging your IQD in Dubai, London, New York, or Baghdad, the value per unit is the same. The only difference may be the physical notes in your hand. Iraq may introduce new lower denominations for everyday use, while the old large notes still hold full value for exchange. This has been done before in many countries and is nothing to worry about. So to sum it up, yes, something big may be happening. Yes, reports about leaked RV rates showing up on bank screens are very real and worth paying attention to. But no, this doesn't mean it's time to panic or act irrationally. It means the moment we've all been preparing for could be close. And the smartest thing you can do now is prepare mentally, financially, and logistically. Have your currencies organized, know your exchange options, and watch the news like a hawk. Because once this rate is announced, the game changes overnight. You've waited a long time for this. You've heard rumors, theories, and timeline. But today's leaks could be the beginning of the real thing. Whether it happens tomorrow, next week, or next month, the fact that banks are seeing these numbers is a sign we can't ignore. The RV for both IQD and VND may finally be on the edge of reality. So stay focused, don't let noise distract you, and always remember, one rate, one system, one global value. If the CBI or Vietnamese central bank confirms the new rate, the world will see it, and so will your bank. Are you ready? because the window could open at any moment. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and we'll keep you informed right here on the Iraqi Dinar News channel.